Picture it. You're at home, alone, in your room, when suddenly a voice cuts through the airwaves. He talks about topics you don't care about. His tone is slow, boring. But wait, something incredible just happened. Even though he's not here, you can hear him perfectly fine. The walls are made of concrete. Why can you hear him? Because of radio waves. Okay? This technology lets us send and receive messages through invisible waves in the air. Let's take a closer look at how it works and how it changed our world. Radio waves, like all types of light, move at 300,000 kilometers per second. That's almost 80 times around the Earth in 1 second. They're made by moving electrons, which are tiny particles that carry an electric charge. Electrons can be made to move by oscillating electric charges. When electrons move, they make magnetic fields, which then make more electric fields, which make more electrons move. Okay? And this cycle keeps going, making waves of oscillating electric and magnetic fields that travel outward from their source. These waves don't need wires or cables to travel, so signals can be sent over huge distances. That's why radio towers are built on top of tall buildings or on hilltops. The higher the better. Signals from low antennas would reflect off the surface of the Earth and go only short distances. It turns out there are many different kinds of radio waves. Their frequency determines their energy. Higher frequencies have more energy and lower frequencies have less energy. We organize these frequencies into bands. In order to make a radio transmitter, you need 3 things: an antenna, a transmitter, and a receiver. The antenna receives electrical signals from the transmitter and converts them into electromagnetic waves which radiate outward in all directions. It's the size of the antenna compared to the wavelength of the radio waves it's emitting determines how efficiently it radiates power. A small antenna might only radiate 5% of its power. A large antenna can radiate 70% or more. Since radio antennas radiate their signals in all directions, most of the signal's power gets wasted. To reach lots of people with a single broadcast tower, several high-power transmitters are often used and carefully aimed at different regions. The first practical use of radio was sending telegraph messages without wires. In the late 1800s, British engineer Sir Oliver Lodge sent a wireless telegraph message from a small transmitter to a receiver across the room. It was the beginning of radio. In 1901, Canadian inventor and engineer John Canadian sent the first transatlantic wireless telegraph message using a massive 60-meter-long antenna. He transmitted the letter S from a station in St. John's, Newfoundland, to a receiving station in Dorset, England. His accomplishment opened up the possibility of communicating across vast stretches of ocean, where laying cables was too expensive and difficult. People could now talk to each other instantly, no matter how far apart they were. It didn't take long for military leaders to see the potential of this new technology. Soon after, ships and submarines were equipped with radio gear so they could call for help in case of an emergency. During World War I, hundreds of thousands of soldiers used radios to communicate with each other on the battlefield. Civilian applications followed soon after. In 1920, the first regular scheduled radio broadcasts began. At first, these broadcasts consisted of time signals, weather reports, ship arrival and departure information, and music. Pretty boring stuff. But soon, local radio stations started popping up everywhere. People could now listen to live music from the comfort of their own homes. Then came television in the 1940s, which used the same basic technology but with higher frequencies to deliver moving pictures along with sound. Before radio, if you wanted to find out what was happening in the world, you had to read newspapers or magazines or watch the newsreel at the cinema. But radio gave people immediate access to breaking news wherever they were. In 1948, when India got independence from British rule, people crowded around their radios to hear Mahatma Gandhi's last public address. It was titled The Last Sermon. Millions listened as he spoke about peace, nonviolence, and independence. After he was assassinated on January 30th, 1948. All India Radio played a vital role in disseminating information about his death and the ensuing riots. During the 1980s, when politicians like Rajiv Gandhi and Indira Gandhi were assassinated, radio again played a key role in getting the word out. For decades, All India Radio has been the country's primary source of news. During the Cold War, radio was a key tool for espionage. Governments built giant listening stations to try and pick up sensitive transmissions. The United States built listening stations in California and Maine. The Soviet Union built a huge listening facility in the former East Germany. One of the best-known incidents of espionage during the Cold War occurred in 1962, when Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev denounced his predecessor, Joseph Stalin, on the radio. This caused political shockwaves throughout the communist world. During the Vietnam War, U.S. troops relied on radio to communicate with each other while in the field. The North Vietnamese army also used radio to play propaganda and music to boost morale. Today, we use cell phones to communicate with each other. But did you know that before cell phones, people used radios? Sure, they weren't as convenient, but they sure were popular. Walkie-talkies were especially popular. Kids loved playing with them, pretending they were secret agents or astronauts. Adults used them for business or pleasure. Many businesses still use walkie-talkies to communicate with employees, such as construction sites or warehouses. They're also popular among hobbyists who enjoy amateur radio, also called ham radio. Ham radio operators get a special license from the government, allowing them to transmit on certain frequencies. Some ham radio operators build their own equipment, while others buy commercial-grade equipment. No matter what kind of equipment they use, ham radio operators are always ready to help out in an emergency. When hurricanes hit New York or California, wildfires force people to evacuate, ham radio operators set up stations and help people communicate with each other. But radio isn't just for talking. We can send music, news, and other types of audio information. But how do we turn sound into radio waves? Sound is created by vibrations that travel through a medium such as air, water, or solids. When a speaker vibrates, it disturbs the air molecules immediately outside it, which collide with ones next to them, which collide with ones next to them, and so on. This creates a wave that travels through the air like dominoes, passing on vibrations that eventually reach your ear. The brain then translates these vibrations into sound. Radio works by converting sound waves into radio waves. Here's how it works. First, the sound is picked up by a microphone, which converts sound waves into electrical signals. These signals are then amplified and sent to the transmitter, which converts them into radio waves. The radio waves are then sent to an antenna, where they are radiated into space. On the other end of the transmission, a receiver picks up the radio waves and converts them back into electrical signals. These signals are then demodulated and sent to a speaker, which converts them back into sound waves that we can hear. Before the internet and cell phones, radio was the main way people got their news. During World War II, radio helped keep the American public informed of the war effort. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's fireside chats were a series of informal talks he gave over the radio that helped Americans cope with the Great Depression. During the Cold War, radio was used to spread propaganda. The BBC World Service, for example, was a radio station that was funded by the British government and broadcast to countries around the world. The purpose of the BBC World Service was to spread British propaganda and counter Soviet influence. Today, radio is still used to broadcast news and information. National Public Radio, for example, is a non-profit radio station that broadcasts news, cultural, and educational programs. NPR is supported by listener donations and grants from government agencies. Local radio stations also play an important role in their communities. They provide weather updates, traffic reports, and other information that helps people get through their day. Radio is also used for entertainment. Music is the most popular genre on radio, but comedy, talk shows, and drama are also popular. Some radio stations are also becoming more specialized. For example, some play only Christmas music during the holiday season, while others play music from a specific era, such as the 1980s. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe. Thanks. Radio technology transformed the way we communicate. It allows us to send and receive messages through invisible waves in the air. This has allowed people to stay connected with each other no matter how far apart they are. Radio is still used today for broadcasting news, information, and entertainment. So the next time you hear a radio, take a moment to appreciate the amazing technology that makes it possible.